All right, hello and welcome to the September 18th, 2025 Helm Developer Meeting. This is a CNCF project. This does follow the CNCF Code of Conduct. If you do not want to be recorded, please fall off the call and watch it later. And we'll get started. All right, announcements. Karen, are you here?
Yep. Real quick, I just created the booth schedule for our Helm booth at KubeCon. I literally just did it, so I'm going to change and update the windows of time for the exact hours. But yeah, if anyone is going to KubeCon, any of us who are contributors to the project, you don't have to be a maintainer or anything. Anyone who wants to help out, please do. We would love to have you there. We are celebrating our 10th birthday amongst other projects that are hitting that milestone as well. So CNCF is doing like a few special little things, like our booth will, I think, say like happy birthday, and like we should be getting special stickers and things like that. So it should be pretty fun. So I believe they are going to be in the second half of the day. So like I said, I'll update the spreadsheet with the exact hours. If anyone can help out at the booth, that'd be super appreciated. Minimum is one person there at the shifts. Ideally, we can get two people there, but I know we
Yep.
do have some activities going on. I think we did shift it. So there are things talk wise on both the first day and the second day. So I think the team will be a little bit spread out. But hopefully we can get this staffed. And then as we get closer to the event and we finalize the schedule, I will send out calendar invites so that people remember their shifts. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen. All right, I have a quick announcement. The CNCF project update video I just submitted on the 15th. Talk about waiting to the last minute. I followed the script that Scott and I kind of came up with and gave high level update slide for that as well. That was reviewed by the release engineer for Helm 4. So that has been submitted. Whether they're going to use it or not, what we have to be seen. I have not heard back from the CNCF. Right. Any other announcements, or shall we move to discussions? All right, Ingy, floor is yours. Helmy scripts, Helm why, what? It's the floor is yours.
Thank you. Helm-wise update. Yeah, so I believe that I could possibly get Helm-wise compiled to Go and then compiled to WASM, which is be amazing by next week. But I wanted to test it with the current plugin framework, and it's a shame that George or Scott aren't here to talk about that. So I was just going to ask for advice on how to best test that if I haven't used it before. I guess.
Okay.
Do you have any? Read the RTF.
I have not looked at the plugin framework deep enough to be able to comment personally. I'm not sure.
Has anyone here tried it yet?
All right.
No.
So let's just
go.
Not yet.
Okay.
Looked at the code, but that's as far as I gotten.
You did what?
I said I looked at the code, but that's as far as I've gotten.
Got it. All right. Well, I'll dive in and let you guys know what I find out next week. Just wanted to. Oh, and I did kind of want to know the timeline of like, if I find things that are problematic, how long do we have to fix them, or is that ship sailed?
No, we can for Helm 4. Yeah, we can. Yeah. We have to fix what's broken. So if something's not working, we have to fix it. We can't. It's a feature freeze, not a fix freeze. So it's not a code freeze. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Robert. That's great.
I had the same question for Matt last week, and he clarified that, so I feel comfortable saying that. All right, okay. I guess we can move on if you're done, sir.
I'm done.
All right, Evans, you got
yeah
PR.
I had a PR. I ran across the Helm ignore negative behavior. Only works for a single pattern if you have multiple patterns. It doesn't behave at all like get ignore.
Okay.
And Scott suggested that this is technically a breaking change, and it was worth bringing it to this meeting.
Okay. I haven't. I don't think I've looked at this PR. but I can put it on my Helm Turnoon and
Okay.
take a look personally.
I think the current behavior is not very functional.
Mhm.
So I'm less worried about breaking things because my recollection was when I was trying to do this, you basically ended up blocking out everything. And so you had a Helm chart that had no contents. And
Wow, this is going on for I will personally. I think I see
Okay.
Joe and Scott in there. I'll take a look at it as well, and I can nag Matt.
Yeah, I'll look at that too.
And since I'm here anyway, I figured I'd mention that I had a couple of small fixes to Windows rendering because I spend half my time on a Windows machine and half my time on a Linux machine, and it's annoying to if I'm getopsing the output of Helm template, the paths switch from one to the other, and that's no fun.
You poor soul. You poor soul.
How many of your other users are in my same boat, though?
Many, actually.
I just use
That's why I
WSL.
bothered to PR it.
I just use WSL in Windows, so I don't have to worry about it.
Smart.
I don't have a Windows machine, so I personally I can't look at this one, but I'm sure we can take a look. But thank you for bringing us.
I mean, it's just switching a couple of uses of path to file path instead.
I mean, I personally test everything. I like to I put my name on. So
That's fair.
let me see what I can. Let's see what we can do. I think my work might.
I couldn't find
I've
a
got
way
Windows. I
to
can try
unit
it.
test these
Mhm.
because I couldn't find any test stuff you already had that ran on Windows. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's all I had.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to bring this one up. This, like I said earlier, this PR, Matt and I texted for 4+ hours yesterday over it, and it's a philosophical debate, and he wants to bring it back to the maintainers of the group here. My stance on this is we should handle the error regardless, because if you don't have, io.writer, or if that bombs out, you're having an unhandled error. And so of the mindset we should do it. He feels that it will never bomb out, and that if it does, it will be bubbled up to the top. So I agreed to ignore it, with the 2 blank identifiers, one for the response, and then one for the error. And he feels that's overkill because it's not needed. So it's now a philosophical debate. So I'm going to toss it back to the maintainers to put your 2 cents in on this PR, whether it's valid to handle errors that some believe will never happen, or should we just leave it as is, or should we ignore it properly by setting blank identifiers? That's all I have on that. I'll let you guys look at the PR. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via Slack.
I'll add my comment there, but I always think, I mean, if you can test an error, do it. I never know what's going to happen later. Somebody might break it.
I'm with you. I'm you and I cut from the same cloth. I feel you on this one. So yes, I'm there with you. Terry, I think, feels the same way. Matt has a different opinion. I wish he was here so he can defend his opinion.
Do you have a way to detect these with lint?
That's what bombs. Like the lint will throw an error.
Okay,
saying,
great. I was going to say, if you don't have a linter for it, you can want to do this all you want, and someone will type it somewhere and you'll miss it.
Yeah, the linter is what showed me everywhere I needed to go fix it. I might have missed 1 or 2, but yeah, it was one of those. Now it's down to a philosophical with the maintainers on how do you guys want to do this. So if I was writing a project on my own, I would handle the error, but maintainers, please weigh in if you could. All right, we'll move on. Anyone have any more discussions, or we can move on to the tip reviews? No. All right. Nick, you are up for HIP review. I don't have the link to that specific HIP review, but this is HIP 0028. If you could throw the GitHub link in the chat for us, and the floor is yours, sir.
So 2 weeks ago, I kind of introduced the idea. Let me see if I can find the link. It's basically just adding an MCP server to Helm. by throwing something into the command tree that would explore the command tree, explore every cobra.command and turn every cobra.command into a MCP tool. Now, of course, by putting in some filters, you don't have to turn every cobra.command into an MCP tool. You only turn the ones, the read-only, basically. You turn read-only commands into MCP tools.
I will personally, I will put this on my my docket to check out. But I don't think anyone else is having an opportunity to look at it just yet.
Yeah, I figured like there's a feature freeze, which means this won't go into 4.0. It can't go into 4.0. So I was hoping to just kind of, you know, explore if anyone had an idea for a path forward for it to get into 4.1.
Top of my head, I don't have a path for that, but I'm sure we can, discuss amongst the maintainers to figure out, a solid path forward. I know Scott mentioned a Helm plugin for this, but I'm not sure with the current architecture if that's a viable solution.
So I
With
explored that. So basically I wrote a thing that that does this really easily. It's like a 10-line, change to Helm, and you just put it into the command tree and it'll explore the command tree. But you can't do that from a plugin because plugins don't have access to the command tree.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, here's the link. Let's see if I can put it in the chat. I think.
Oh, 028.
That PR is missing the actual hip. It was in there before.
Yeah. I see 26, but I don't see 20028 and markdown in there.
It should be a pull request. I'm not sure. Like,
Go here. Oh, this is cool.
So this is my first. I haven't contributed to Helm before, so I'm sorry if I make any mistakes with the documentation and stuff. But it should be a comment at the bottom of the pull request that links to the HIP, and there should be a comment in the HIP a description that links to the pull request of the implementation pull request.
See who finds it first.
Does the link in chat not work? I'm sorry.
Just the hip PR, it used to have the markdown for the hip in it, but it doesn't anymore.
Yeah, it just has you add it to the HIP's README, but the HIP 0028 markdown is not in there, sir.
Oh, I see. I see. Hold on. Okay. Let's perhaps now.
Ah, there it is. Got it. Okay. Like I said, I'll take a gander at it. I haven't looked at it. Now that I have it, I'm looking for my Helm afternoon tomorrow. If any other maintainers could grab it, be much appreciated.
Yeah, I'll take a look too.
Thank you, Joe.
Likewise.
Thanks, Andy or Andrew.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right. Does anyone have any more hips? All right. Well, let's move to shout outs. Do we have any shout outs? Social media amplification. All right. Well, let's do assignments for next call. Anyone for moderator? No one has it. I will take it. Don't mind. Notes.
Karen did volunteer.
Oh, did she? For moderator?
In the chat.
Or notes, either one.
All right, we'll put her on notes. Issue triage. Obviously, I will be there. Anybody else for issue triage? That's right, Evan. Give her the hard stuff. I got to type. Terry, you doing that?
Yeah, I'm going to be. Sure, throw me down, but I'm going to be a little bit unreliable. Going to be out for a bunch of days.
No worries, no worries. Okay. My wife's just thinking about me. Just Robert's unreliable. All right, PR review. Who we got on deck?
I'll work on that.
All right. And core maintainers at next meeting.
Should be.
I won't be there.
I have a few more weeks where I'm presenting, so as soon as that's done, I can be more active.
Sounds good. Anyone have anything else before we adjourn this beautiful meeting?
Did you talk about the formatting stuff? Sorry, I joined late. I had a conflict.
Well, if you were here and you were on time, you would know that I sent it on to the maintainers to go look at. I voiced my opinion, and I said you were diametrically opposed to my opinion.
Yeah.
And then everybody agreed with Robert.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vehemently
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, my opinion is quite simple on this one. Is format seems to be one of those odd packages where it's an exception because just about every place you ignore it, right? If you're dealing with buffer bytes, the underlying implementation never returns an error. It is always returns nil just to implement the interface, right? So it's logic that will never be executed on if you include it in your program, right? If you're dealing with output to standard error and standard out, and you're dealing with something like Helm, you also don't want to return an error. It would actually change behavior from today, because if somebody's running the Helm CLI and they disconnect it from their terminal, you lose standard error and standard out, right? But it's still running and executing in the background. Today, it won't return an error. You return an error and it returns, it'll change behavior there. Yes.
All right,
Roberto.
so I will ask, what happens if Go updates and it does return an error and not nil? And would you catch it?
Would we catch it?
Mhm.
No, but would we catch the error?
Would
No,
you
we
actually
wouldn't
even
catch the error.
would you actually catch that? I mean, as we move, as we upgrade Go, do we go down into those nitty gritties? We generally don't. So what I'm saying is there a possibility it could be broken in the future with an upgrade of
If
the Go
it
version?
breaks in the future, it will break the entire Go ecosystem. Kubernetes will fall over. Other things are going to fall over. It's one of those areas where, for reverse compatibility and stability in the ecosystem, if it falls over on us, it is falling over on Docker and Kubernetes and Terraform and Vault and all of these other utilities. It's one of those things where if something happens there, it will be a language-wide kind of problem because of the way it's used. Because nobody checks for the errors on these things, right? And so again, if it goes and disconnects, so in all of our cases, or virtually all of our cases, I haven't looked at every case, we're going to ignore the error. We need to ignore the error either because we break behavior of today, or and it's behavior we should probably have in place, right? I don't think if somebody wants to disconnect Helm from their terminal, we should start throwing errors from it if they can do that today. And or unexercised code. So then you're doing __equals FMT dot whatever the function is what you end up having everywhere. You're adding a ton of boilerplate that just goes all over the place to ignore it. And the standard protocol, if you go look at even the Go project itself, everybody just, if it's underscore underscore on the format functions, they just don't do it. It's the exception to the rule. It's the exception to the rule in the Go project. It's the exception to the rule in the code bases that come out of Google. It's the exception to the rule in the code bases elsewhere, whether we're talking HashiCorp or Prometheus or any of these things. It's probably less than 1% of projects actually do the underscore underscore kind of thing on it, because you just end up littering it all over your code. You go from implicit to explicit, and it's the same thing everywhere. So it tends to be the exception to the rule all over the place. In fact, a lot of the linting tools out there take format and treat it as an exception when they're linting for errors coming back and not reacting to them. Now, there's
So-
definitely times to react to them. It just has been an overwhelming exception to the rule. So do we want to be a code base that's a mass exception to the rule that has a ton of extra boilerplate code all over the place of underscore, comma, underscore equals, right? Or do we want to yank that out for readability or keep that yanked out? It becomes something like this, right? I understand there's a general rule, and this is just one of those things that by and large is an exception, except for people who want to be really pedantic to this particular thing.
Remember when I started calling everybody and I said that it was a text message conversation that was over 4 hours long?
Yeah.
I
There you
hope
go.
I hope you guys now know that I wasn't BSing anybody. I was telling
No.
the truth.
Now, what about API users?
What do you mean? Which things with API users?
Well, if they're expecting something to go to standard error for whatever reason, and it gets disconnected, are they going to want to know that error?
Are they going to want to know the error? So
Yeah.
what you're saying is the trade-off here. That's a real good question. Are they going to want to know the error? Well, that means we shouldn't, how do I put it?
Wait,
We should be on the API users, we should be returning errors, not outputting them to standard error kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So in our case, our API should be returning errors. The place where you're going to output it is the logic meant to print to things, such as in the CLI. If we're writing to something like standard error internally within the APIs, then that's probably a problem in our code that needs to be removed out.
Fair.
So this is where I come from. It's in the logic designed to output to standard out and standard error, which is going to be mostly around CLI outputs and those kinds of things. And do we want to stop midstream in executing because they disconnected their terminal or disconnected Helm from the active terminal, run in the background?
If they're writing to a file, though, for instance, and there's an error writing to the file, then it would be undetected.
That is a case. That is totally a valid case where we should catch it, right? So, but that's a case where you do the error handling. That's not on buffers. That's not on writing a standard out and standard error. Those are cases. If it's the other cases where you're just doing underscore, comma, underscore equals, do we want to just have that everywhere in our code as a
so
consistent thing? Or do we want to strip that out? Keep it stripped out.
You're conflating the two things. Underscore, comma, underscore is using the blank identifier to basically ignore it, right? That's one. You
explicitly ignore instead
that's
of
explicitly,
yes.
Okay. That's one thing. Handling
Yes.
an error if he's writing to set file or anything else that could potentially cause it, that's different. So you're
Yes.
like you're conflating two different things there.
You're right, because there's times where you need to handle the error, like I'm writing to a file and it breaks. That's totally a legitimate time where we always should have handled the error. It becomes, I guess there's really three things here. There's legitimate times like you're writing to a file, which Terry very well brought up. There's things of dealing with errors and actually handling errors where today we don't handle errors. There's a bunch of time where we don't handle errors and we continued to need to, and some of the PR actually introduced that, like going over, buffer. There's no legitimate reason. The logic will never be executed. So go ahead, do we need to add all this logic in that'll never be executed and tested and the impact of that, and then standard out those kinds of things, right? And then there is and I don't think we need to do logic there. I don't think we want to change the behavior, and it's not worth having logic that'll never be executed because the underlying implementation is not gonna. Then you go to the case of the underscore, right? That whole thing just coming through the code in a ton of places. Is it worth adding this? The community by and large and the Go team by and large has said, no, it's not worth adding that everywhere. And so I say, what's the value in just having those extra things all throughout the code if we're ignoring it explicitly? Like what's the value to us? What's the value to somebody contributing? Because to a contributor to Go, we're going to be the odd duck, right? We're going to be the one who's abnormal in doing this because it's like less than 1% of code bases actually do this.
So Matt,
it's very rare. Yeah.
One, I appreciate your passion on this topic, but we are at time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So if we can continue the conversation, either on that PR or in the Slack channel, we'd love to hear people's thoughts and opinions on, the direction that we should go. Assignments for next week have been set. I want to thank everybody for your time. It is 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll see you guys next week.